So now we're ready to go and create our next promise section. So we go over here, since we learned how we can create a generic section, right? Well, actually, we don't need to go over here. We can just write generic, right? And we just press over here, enter or tab, whatever you would really like. And we obviously would need to start changing this around, right? So the name of our section, right, is going to be a promise section, right? So over here, I'm just going to write a promise, right? And maybe I did the mistake over here. This probably should have just a, right, promise section, right? So maybe I added a little bit of too code, right? A little bit too much code. End of promise section, right? So maybe over here, we would need to delete it over here. So we don't need to delete every time too much of information, right? But I'm just going to leave it for now like it is. So over here, we're going to say a promise, right? This is going to be the name of our section. And over here, we would need to change it around. This is not going to be container. It's going to be container fluid because I will want to span it all across the screen, right? That was the biggest difference. If we're setting container, it's actually going to be having right away some pre-made margins and paddings and all that. If we're setting everything for container fluid, it's going to be spanning all across the screen. Now over here, what we would want to do is this column, right? And we're going to write this column is going to be spanning actually even on a small screen. It's going to be spanning all across a half the screen, right? That's why we're writing small 6, right? But for the extra small screen, right, which we have over here on the right, it's actually right away going to be spanning all across the screen, right? And over here, you can see that this is going to be my column that's going to have a header, and over here I'm going to write that this is going to be a promise, right? So I'm just going to say this is going to be, well, our promises or promise in general. You can write however you would want, right? But what I would want to do over here, I would want to create another div, right, with the class, and over here we're going to write that this is going to be column small and also 6, right? And we would need to create separate class names for them, right? Because this is where I'm going to be placing the image, and I'm going to write that this is going to be a promise, right? And this is going to be picture, right? So this is the class that I'm creating myself, promise picture, right? And over here, this is going to be a promise text, right? But I'm not going to be creating this class over here in the header. I'm going to say that this is going to be promise, right? And this is going to be text, right? So now we have two divs, right? One has nothing in it. The other one has our header, right? And as you can see that I changed it around, I just added over here this class in front of it, right? In front of this other column. Now, over here within this class, but after the header, what we're going to do is we're going to create over here a div, right? And we're going to say that this is going to have a class, and we're going to call this promise icons, right? We're going to say promise, and this is going to be icons, right? And after that, we're going to create our first div. But what's going to happen is I'm not going to add any kind of classes or anything to that. The reason for this div is we're going to be using it later on when we're going to be adding animate CSS. We're going to be adding these classes over here. And within this div, we're going to create a h2, right? And we're going to say that this is going to have a, let's say, a thumbs up, right? And this is going to be our font awesome. So we're just going to write that this is going to be I. This is going to have a class. And we're going to say that this is going to be a fa and fa thumbs up, right? Thumbs over here, thumbs up, right? So this should give us a thumbs up over here. You can see that this is going to be our font awesome, right? And after that, since you can see that it's actually placed within our heading 2, right? We're going to write over here, this is going to be a promise, right? We're going to write like this, promise. And after that, within this div, but obviously it's outside a heading 2, we're just going to say that this is going to be a paragraph with a class. And again, we're going to be using a text muted class. I just like how it looks. I mean, I'm right away can tell you I'm no designer or anything, but I just like how it has this little bit of, grayish look, right? And again, we can use this bracket snippets. Remember, if we wanted to add a dummy text, right? So we're just going to write lorem, right? Then you can right away see that it gives us a dummy text, right? Now, I don't really want it to be like a long text, so I just right away going to delete this, right? So this is going to be pretty small promise, right? Well, hopefully the promise that it sticks, right? But over here, what I want to do is actually want to like create 3 of these divs, right? So within this div class promise icons, right? So let's just make a little bit more space, right? What I want to do is I just want to, let's say, copy this 3 times, right? So I'm just going to copy this, and over here, again, we're going to create a little bit more space, but just remember these divs, right? These ones, right? They are just for the animate CSS. There's no real other purpose for them. And maybe I should have named it somehow, but I don't think it's really that important. But we're pretty much done with a HTML for our promise section, and we're actually ready to jump to main CSS and start styling this promise section.